So you're welcome back. Obviously, a good trip. Was it? Obviously, it was nice to relax a little bit. Did you get a bit of the summer league in as well?
Yeah, so it was good just to be back on, I think, the normal schedule of what I had before when I first came to Perth with the time off and everything. I think the last 2 years was kind of jammed together, and we speeded back right away to get back to the second year, and now to have the normal kind of break with it. It's done wonders for me just mentally, and just to be back home and relax and not feel like I'm sprinting to get back. And then stopped at the summer league on the way out and met with Jarek and some other people there, and had a good time there.
Did you, in terms of being at the summer league, did you see anything you liked, or was there any trends coming out of America that you were keeping an eye on?
No, just for me, it was about really supporting Jarek more than anything else. It's his first time to the summer league. It's probably my 24th or 5th time either playing in it or coaching. And so it was just more there to connect with some agents and make some introductions for him. And I think he really enjoyed himself there. And obviously it's a PR dream for everyone to be a part of that. I mean, the fans get a close look at all these new players that are in the league. Our roster was completely done, so we didn't have to worry about actually recruiting anyone out of there. But I think it was just more networking.
Did you rate it as a successful trip in terms of some of the connections you might have made and what you got out of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the people that were there I've known for many, many years, and Jarek is just starting to know these faces and names, and I think it's great for him to start his network and build his relationships with those agents that we're going to be in contact with. And it was good to catch up with Crawford and Lee and Doyle's agents and not talk to them over a phone or Zoom and actually meet them. So I think all that's just a positive for us.
When you sort of go away and spend some time away from Tasmania and the team, you get to clear your head. Does that help you devise plans and schemes and whatnot for the upcoming season?
Well, I think more than anything, it's just a mental rest. Really when I got home from here, we had another probably 6 weeks of Zooms just about every single night. I was Zooming 2 or 3 times a night through the week with the coaches, and then obviously interviewing players during that whole time. So there wasn't necessarily a lot of rest in that area. But it's just good to, relax and be in my home really for the first time and actually live in it and know where I live and not have to ask my wife, how do I get home when I leave the driveway anymore. And so just the fact of just relaxing for me is the most important thing.
So in that sense, does it feel like the most normal build up to a season that you've played in quite some time?
I'm looking forward to it, and I think, like I said, the longer rest and not the rush to get back. I think it's everyone in the front office and down. These 2 years have been amazing, but you've been on a treadmill. I mean, it's just been nonstop. And to kind of pump the brakes a little bit to get through these last few months and just kind of step back and be on a normal schedule, I think it's been done probably everyone wonders.
The roster you've been able to put together, is this the best roster you've had at your disposal as your time as Tasmanian coach?
I mean, that'll be up to the debate of anyone that moves forward there. I mean, obviously the first year's roster was pretty good, went to the grand finals. So I don't really look at it as the best roster. I just try to think of incremental improvements that we can make, and ultimately it'll come down to how well we defend and how quickly we build chemistry again. We have 4 or 5 guys we have to reintegrate, and you have to have some luck and not have injuries and those kind of things. But I'm happy with some of the things that we were trying to address. And I know the guys that are coming back next week are excited to get back in market.
How exciting is it, Scott, to be able to work with so many new faces within the roster?
Yeah, I think it's always good to have some turnover just in general, to be honest with you. I think there's a core group that we're trying to keep together here for the next few years. We'll keep trying to add to that group, but I think it's always good to have some fresh bodies in and fresh faces. And everyone that we've talked with has been quite excited about being down here. And we have a lot of guys, again, that are coming in with chips on their shoulders about being maybe overlooked by other teams. And I think that just builds into the whole Tasmanian defend the island attitude that we have about guys that just want to do the right thing and play as hard as they possibly can.
You talked about, so obviously in year one, this is your 3rd season, year one, an unknown quantity, year 2, can you back it up? What's the focus for year 3? In terms of, there's going to be a lot more expected of you, I would think, considering the performances you put in.
Yeah, we have really limited our focus just on doing our process and going through it. I think that I learned a long time ago that if you start setting these goals way out there in front of you, and things just happen in sports, and if you don't reach them, then you get kind of just dismantled in the middle of the year, and you're like, what are we doing? So for us, it's just trying to get better from week to week. How can we make improvements, not get sidetracked by any other teams or what they're doing. I feel like our roster is going to be very competitive. I guarantee you we'll finish 1st through 10th. I just don't know where it's going to be.
You talked there about having your roster together. Are you pleased that it's settled this kind of early, that you can really get knuckled down and get working there? Is it something nice to have?
Yeah, well, I believe in that. We try to do that every single year. I believe that you try to get your roster done way before you get to the summer league. That's just my philosophy. I think when you go to summer league, there's a lot of factors that come in play, and it's very hard, in my opinion, to get fair deals over there, because there's all the agents and all the players are all looking for the same thing. And I'm a big proponent of trying to get things done quickly, especially if you know what you want, and wrap that up and allow our players to have some peace of mind and understand who's going to be around them.
It's a new look roster, obviously new players, but is it the same system and same mindset, defensive grind, hustle, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's been proven not only here but anywhere you go in the world. The best defensive teams are the teams that end up getting into the finals or the grand finals. There's an anomaly every now and then that happens, but in general, that's kind of been what's happened to us the last 2 years. We've been in the top 4, and we finished in the top 4 and did pretty good. We'll be a defensive-minded team. I think, again, it's a representative of this island, of the toughness and the work ethic that the people have here and expect from us now. And these guys coming in know that they're going to have to live up to that expectation on the defensive end. I talked to Magette yesterday. He had 39 and 19. He was a little excited on the phone, but I said, you won't play for me unless you rebound and defend, and the other stuff will happen. And he took that to heart, and he understands coming here is going to be a different environment for him.
Any particular players that you're particularly excited to see get out there and start?
Well, I think obviously Crawford's going to be a buzz. I think he's got some unique skill sets. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about his height, but really he's been a heck of a basketball player for quite a long time. To go over to Turkey and lead that league in scoring, and play against probably 8 teams that are in EuroLeague or Euro Cup or Champions League, and be able to do what he's done over there. And Milt raved about him all year playing against at the end of the season. And they play together. So I think it'll be a good combination in the backcourt. Those two guys should be exciting to watch. And then you have an athletic guy like Lee now that can be on the rim and help do some things.
There was some excitement around Tre Armstrong as well, signing on a local, born and bred guy as a development player. How did the situation with him deciding not to pursue that contract unfold?
Yeah, he called, I don't know now, maybe a month ago, and basically said that, just mentally he's a little tired and wanted to travel through Europe with his girlfriend and just take a sabbatical from basketball, really, and get away from it. He's kind of been on a treadmill, just continually playing year after year, and then comes back and starts with the Thunder. And I think anything else, he just wanted to take a breath and get away from it for a year. And we've always had the doors open for him to come in during the season if he wants to have some workouts. But I think it's good on him. You can get mentally drained of just doing things and expectations. And for him to say, I just want to go to Europe and travel a little bit and be with my girlfriend. He's just got his degree. He wants to figure out if that's going to be his pathway. And he just didn't want to jump into something without being 100% committed to it.
You're obviously supportive of that move.
Yeah, listen, any kid that does anything in Tasmania, I'm going to be supportive. Taren Armstrong going to Kansas, I love it. It's just one more player in the NBL, and now we got 2. So to me, it's all good. I think people here have to understand that the basketball is transient. Players are going to go where they want to go. Coaches are going to go where they want to go. It's always nice to think you're going to have a Tasmanian team with a bunch of Tasmanians on it. It's just not realistic at the end of the day. We try to support all those guys. We try to make sure that they have avenues for us and other teams. And if they choose to go somewhere else, or our staff's leaving, or we have other players like Isaac White, who I love, went somewhere else, I think it's kudos to us that he got 2 more years somewhere at a really good number that we couldn't get to. And that's just a credit to, I think, of the organization and my staff, and I love it.
You've got a Tassie replacement lined up though for Tre?
Yeah, we've already signed one. We'll probably be releasing that next week at some point. Could be an injury replacement player, could be a developmental player. We might have another spot that we'll look at again, and we'll see where we go, but we've already signed someone.
Fair to say that door for Tre still open, Scott, in the future, if and when he decides he might want to come back to basketball?
Yeah, we'll start our training camp up in Alverston here in a few weeks. He's invited to come into training camp if he's around, or if he hasn't gone to Europe yet.
I know you've been keeping an eye on the rest of the league here. What have you made of some of the signings? Are you expecting yet another tough year from everyone else?
Yeah, listen, there's some fantastic teams on paper. I mean, there's some big names being signed, and teams spending a great deal of money on these guys, and just loading up. And I think it's going to be another great year for the fans to come and see. And yeah, you're going to have your hands full to play every night in this league. It's been tough since I've been here a few years ago when I got to Perth, and the league is just on an unbelievable trajectory right now.
You yourself, coming off your holiday, sound really, really excited. With the break and just having that time off. What makes you so excited about this year 3?
I think just, again, for me, it's been the rest and just the recovery of everything, and excitement of having some new players come through. Going into our 3rd year, we're still in the infancy of what we're doing, and we're still growing as a club. And we still have a lot of room to grow on and off the floor. And Again, for me, at whatever point I don't coach here anymore, hopefully that this has been well established and things are running very smoothly in the front office and on the court, and that people are proud of what we're doing here. And to me, we're still building that, and I'm hugely passionate about making sure it's done the right way.
Training camp at Almaston, you said, coming up. What's the key focus of that first couple of weeks there?
Well, we haven't got that far. We're trying to get the mini camp next week, but it'll go back to defense and just starting to integrate our guys. Next week we'll have 10 or 11 of our local players in. We'll just start a mini camp and do some things here with physicals and everything they have to do. And then August 9th, I think our imports will be in market, and then shortly after that we'll head to Alverston and start to focus on game planning and those kind of things.
Will Madman's foot injury, do you have an update there and a time?
I talked to Will about 2 or 3 days ago, and he sounds quite positive about it. I haven't seen him. I'll see him this weekend, so I think we're all kind of waiting to see him in person. But I think he's a few weeks out at least.
And just one last one on Josh Magette, obviously not returning
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
Just, I guess, replacing his intangibles,
Yeah.
locker room presence, professionalism, that sort of thing. It's a fair hold of it.
It is. It's one of the things that when we were doing our Zooms and we talked to guys about leadership styles, Marcus Lee, what's your leadership style? Jordon Crawford, what's your leadership style? Listen, Josh Magette, again, I go back to Matt Kenyon and Sam McDaniels and now Isaac leaving. They're part of this club. They started this whole thing. And when they walk out the door, it's quite emotional for all of us because you get attached to them. It's not like you're in your 10th or 15th year and you're just funneling through players. And Magette, in my conversation with him before we announced Jordon, was a little bit sad, but he was quite positive about everything. And I just, told him that we would not be where we are without you. This club would not be where it is right now. On the floor, you've been tremendous, but off the floor, how you've carried yourself, your family, obviously having his son being born here. He's been fantastic, but at some point you have to start to move on and get through other players. But he's been a huge factor of what's going on here, and we love him to death. He's always welcomed, and we just tried to put our arms around him, so thanks.